What's going on, everyone? Welcome into Plaisance Podcast, filled to the brim with glitchy analysis and freezing cold takes, so cold that they're boiling hot. I am here with my friend Collin Hatfield. This is episode number 2 that we're going to be filming. Collin, welcome in. Tell everybody where they can find you on social media, because that's the most important part. Because, ladies and gentlemen, this is a treat to watch him work on social media.
Hey, first of all, thanks for the intro. Really appreciate you having me on. You can all find me on Instagram and TikTok at Collin with 2 L's .Hatfield show.
Excellent. Yeah. Content creator. And I said this in episode 1, basketball savant. This guy knows ball better than almost anybody that I've ever met. So I am unbelievably impressed with the work here. But we're here to talk about some Eastern Conference teams. If you want to look at our Western Conference breakdown, we talked about the Spurs, the Thunder, and the Rockets in this previous episode. But for this one, let's go ahead and start with the Miami Heat, because out of everyone outside of Houston, I think this is probably the second most intriguing storyline in terms of like breaking down film. I am obsessed with watching the Miami Heat play basketball this year. They're off to a great start, especially offensively. They've beaten some great teams so far this year, including a great win versus the Magic earlier this season. Talk to me about what they've done to transform their offense from last year versus this year. And not to mention, before you get started, Tyler Hero's not playing basketball right now. Right? And they're playing so great. So yeah, talk to me about this basketball team and what they've done differently.
Like you said, it's a night and day difference. You know, Miami of the past couple of years has been a very slow, methodical, DHO-based half-court team. And then you turn on the TV this year, we're not getting into any pick and rolls. We're not really running plays. We're not getting into any actions. It's just kind of roll the ball out and cut, drive, and kick. You know, it's just a concept more than anything. And I think it's been really amazing to watch. You'd think that wouldn't work on this level of basketball, but if you get the right type of guys who can put the ball on the deck, make simple passes, and catch and shoot, it works. And you know, the offense in a very simple, concise way is simply flowing in the direction that the ball goes. So if we're driving left, I'm going to continue to cut left. And if someone is out of cutting room, you cut baseline, and the people that are on the right, you start filling in behind the ball. So that's really all this is. You know, it's fairly simple. And there's a lot of like younger AAU programs that have this style of basketball because it doesn't take much prep time. It's not impossible to explain. Obviously, at the NBA level, we have smarter, higher IQ guys that are able to figure this out and play it on the fly. But at its root, it's not a very difficult concept of basketball. But it's just been amazing to watch them, you know, institute this style, and then see a guy like Davion Mitchell who's kind of bounced around the league, but he's now found a home because he can get to the rim, he can handle the ball, and all he's got to do is drive and cut. So, seeing them remove a lot of the staples in their game has just been very interesting, and I think it's another pillar in the evolution of Eric Spoelstra as a coach. Every 5 years, we see him make this mass, transformation. In the 2010s, we saw him, go study the spread offense, and we watched them try to go 5 out or 4 out, 1 in, and play around the cutting of LeBron and Wade, and then put a bunch of shooters around them. Then once that era fizzled out, we saw them kind of pioneer DHOs. No one was running DHOs like them up until 2018, 2019, and then we saw it peak out with Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, both of those younger guys on the perimeter, and then Jimmy Butler all orbiting around Bam Adebayo as a playmaking hub. Then it seems like the whole league caught up to both of those trends, and now they're on this wheel motion, drive and kick style offense. So I just think it's very intriguing, and it shows he kind of never lets the game fully catch up to him.
You know what? I have been a fan of Eric Spoelstra for years and years. I mean, this guy, talk about the different modes. Like you just described it. You laid it out perfectly. This, in my opinion, is the resume of when I say top 5 coach, I'm not talking about resume. I'm talking about basketball knowledge. understands the game at an entirely different level. He's done it with, so, like you said, so many different styles of players. And now with this team lacking, a real score first option, because that's Hero's job, right?
Yeah.
They're scoring at an unbelievable pace for a team that doesn't really have like an elite shooter, an elite ISO guy. Bam, I mean, can put up, 17, 18 points a night. Davion Mitchell, by the way, like you said, so I'm so happy for him because
Yeah.
I love guys that put in the work, especially defensively. He has been
Yeah.
a guy ever since he was in Sacramento to put the work in defensively. And it's finally his time to see some real action, especially with the absence not only of Hero, but Terry Rozier also.
Ooh.
Yeah, rest in peace to his career because that's over with. But anyways, I absolutely love what Spoelstra's got going on right now. Now, speaking of all these offensive compliments, we've talked about in our previous episode, we talked about pace, right? A lot of people confuse pace. And, even when I first started trying to understand NBA schematics, I really thought pace was like, you got to go. You don't set up in the half court. You just have to move. So explain to me and the audience kind of what you like, not even what you define, but what is the definition of playing with a faster pace? Because it's clear that playing fast is good offense.
Yes.
But what does that mean beyond just trying to run in transition as much as you possibly can?
I agree with you 100%. When I started kind of trying to learn things, I thought it was just, okay, how many layups can we get? Fast break, we're moving immediately. But you can play with pace in the half court. And to me, it's just simply moving from action to action. You're constantly putting pressure on this defense. And I like to think about it, like a computer. If I open up 15 different programs and I've got music playing, I'm trying to watch a movie, I'm texting someone, and I've got all these different things, the computer can't handle, depending on the computer, what type of stress I'm putting on it. So something at some point is going to have to cave. One of those programs is going to quit on you. Something's going to freeze. So it's just on me to continue to overload that software until, okay, you missed on this slip. Boom. We've got a layup. So I think, playing with pace, you can see it in the half court. A team like Golden State, they never stop flowing. Yes, they can run and they can beat you in a full court game, but a possession can look like Draymond gets the ball at the top. We set this pin down for Steph. Steph doesn't like it. He cuts back door. Fine. Now we flow into a post split and you try to switch it, but Dre slips underneath. And now you set someone over on the rotation. They kick it to the corner. Now we're playing the drive and kick game. So we're just overloading you nonstop. And we're constantly putting the pressure on you. We're forcing you to react over and over until you make a mistake. And I think that's what you see with a lot of high-level offenses today.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree. The best way that somebody described pace to me was actually just a clip. It was you've ever seen those satisfying ball movement clips from the Spurs? Like it was a specific like 2013 or 2014 Spurs play where they have like 9 passes in one possession. And each and every time the defense is responding to it until it just becomes too much and you've overloaded them. So it's all about moving fast. Sure, we could talk transition, moving fast, but Stephen Curry is a perfect example of moving fast in a half court.
Yes.
Constantly rotating around and then secondarily taking that ball and moving it across the court, making the defense work extra hard. And we're talking about what makes a good offense. I think that's kind of what sets this generation of basketball apart from previous ones, right? The triangle offense is I don't even know how to describe it compared to today's offense. Like it's like me playing basketball against somebody that's in their 70s, right?
Yeah.
But the triangle still is like an elite offensive scheme.
Yes.
Right? Of course, it's won so many championships, but you try to run that against a game where everyone is moving, everyone can shoot. The ball is coming from the corner to the top of the key to the other corner at the drop of a hat at a split second. And I think that's what teams are really getting after. We're talking about Eastern Conference stuff right now, but throw in a team right now that's performing really well without their star player having a big impact on the team is Ja Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies. And I'm a huge Ja Morant fan. I think he can be an elite guard in the league, but Tumas Isolo comes from that same tree of let's just pass the ball around. No ball screens. We're not trying to slow the game down.
No.
And, look at the Grizzlies with Ja and without Ja on the court. It's a completely different team, right?
Yeah.
I'm really impressed with what Isolo has been able to do so far this season. I wish the best for Ja. We were talking about Houston earlier. If Houston were able to make a splash trade for like a John Morant, I mean, they can't afford him, obviously, the salary cap and stuff, but that'd be insane. But anyways, going back to what offenses do today that are so different than past, I mentioned shooting. Why, in your opinion, has it become so necessary for offenses to have at least 4 guys on the court that can shoot the basketball?
I think it really, it's one of the key barometers of kind of predicting the success of a star, especially come postseason time. If I'm able to play off of everyone and we all have eyes on you, we're able to kind of scheme and trap behind you. And plus, we have a good defender on you. It's really difficult to come down and score or create good looks over and over and over again. So you compare that, look at I think Cade Cunningham's a perfect example.
Yeah.
2 seasons ago, prior to them getting the shooting, Cade still had the type of skills that he has now. Obviously, he's continued to get better and refine himself, but Cade's always been able to score at all 3 levels and was developing a pull-up jumper, developing his ability to go and get it one-on-one at all times, and was already a phenomenal passer, but he just didn't have the room to operate in. You're kind of looking at like a shell defense that you practice in middle school or high school. Everyone's camped outside the boxes and the elbows, and we're guaranteeing you don't get easy paint touches. So, you can kick it out all day you want for open threes, but your whole team shoots 27%. So we're not scared of that. And they don't believe they can hit it either. So it just kind of turns into this game of how consistently can the guys around you knock down shots, and that opens up your ability to score, play make. When you do decide to play with pace, it adds another element in. We're looking at the game now where guys are driving and then people are sprinting to the corner in transition. We're not sprinting for we're sprinting for threes. So it's just a very different game. And I think it matters so much to your stars. It affects the rebounding. It allows big bodies that are good on the glass to operate with more space on the inside. So shooting is it's ridiculously important.
Yeah, I think, a lot of people give credit to Golden State and Stephen Curry specifically about, this new era of shooting. But I think one place that I've at least seen some other basketball insiders give credit to, and a lot of teams look like this now, is like the 2016-2017 Houston Rockets.
Yes.
James Harden running the point, kind of like a Cade Cunningham,
Yes.
even an SGA kind of. Secondarily, you have, Chandler Parsons and Ryan Anderson shooting the 3 on the wing. And then you've got a Clint Capella, your typical, rebounder, I guess you would call it. Rebounder, rim protector.
Yeah.
Look at every other team in the league right now. The Pacers were set up like that. Halliburton with Nesmith and Nembhard shooting the 3. Miles Turner grabbing boards and rebounding. But even he can shoot the 3.
Right.
It's just so crazy, the difference in basketball now. I'm not trying to say that like older generations are not as great, because it's so hard to measure greatness across the generations. But in my opinion, if you had to give me any offense to guard, this generations of offense would be the absolute hardest to guard, because the square footage of what you're trying to guard has basically doubled.
Yes.
Right? The 3-point line is no longer a limitation. It's a green light. That is what makes offenses so great these days. And if you can't shoot, like if you're, the Trailblazers have won a lot of games this year due to their defense, but they've struggled to shoot the ball in the past. That's something they're trying to get better at.
Yes.
And that's quite frankly what's been limiting them over the last couple seasons in terms of development. So it's so great to talk ball with you, man. It's a true pleasure. Guys, go and check him out on social media once again. Collin.Hatfield Show on TikTok and Instagram. Just beautiful breakdowns of the game of basketball. It gets so technical. The game of basketball is so much more than just getting buckets. You know, you gotta break this down on a level if you love the game. And clearly, Collin, my friend, you love the game of basketball. It's amazing. So thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Likewise, hey, appreciate you. Love your content, and it's really refreshing to be able to have these type of conversations and talk just about the game at its purest. Of course, storylines are awesome, and you got to keep up with it. But just talking real ball, it's really refreshing in today's climate. So appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely, man. We got to do the job that the ESPNs, the Fox Sports, that they're not doing. We got to step in and fill the role.
Absolutely.
So anyways, guys, be sure to check him out on social media. Like, comment, subscribe on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you find us. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.